I am functional medicine practitioner Claudine Francois. I empower women entrepreneurs by sharing solutions for health on my show, Healthy Delicious Lifestyle with Claudine. Hello, and welcome to Healthy Delicious Lifestyle with Claudine. If you are here to learn how to reprogram your brain for happiness in minutes a day with brain optimization specialist Caitlin Doemner, you are in the right place. And please stay on until the end because today's guest has a very exciting gift for our community. Now, as a functional medicine practitioner, I specialize in helping driven women uncover the root causes of their chronic health issues. So by scheduling a complimentary session with me, we can begin exploring your unique health challenges and develop a personalized plan to address these root causes, allowing you to achieve your best in every area of your life. So visit the link below to book your session. Okay, let's get to today's show. Today's guest is brain optimization specialist Caitlin Doemner. Caitlin is a serial entrepreneur and mother of 3. Her company, VirtualCoachingSales, built and managed sales teams for coaching industry leaders like Deepak Chopra, and allowed her to travel around the world with her family, hitting all 7 continents in 3 years. Wow! That is awesome. While on that tour, she discovered that you can still be unhappy while living your so-called perfect life, which led her to develop the ecstatic way framework. That is a blend of ancient wisdom and cutting-edge neuroscience. Ooh, we're going to get sciencey. This is going to be fun. She is now launching her Magic Minute app, which allows you to regulate your nervous system and reprogram your brain in as little as 15 minutes a day. Let us talk to this powerhouse. Welcome, Caitlin.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
We are so excited to have you. And I'm going to start by asking you the first question I ask all my guests, which is, what does a healthy, delicious lifestyle mean to you?
Oh, I love those 3 words together. So, health for me evokes not just physical health, but mental health, emotional health, this vibrant, energetic living of like fully awake, fully alive, feeling everything and enjoying the process. And then delicious. Oh my gosh, who doesn't like deliciousness? For me, I talk a lot about yin and yang energies with my clients. And I think for women, especially, that yin energy is the pleasure principle. This is the driving force of the universe, is what makes us go, yummy inside. And so whether it's food or travel or sex, which I like to talk about too, right? All of these amazing things that just make us go, it's so important for women to really prioritize that delicious pleasure quality in our life. And then lifestyle. You heard, I love lifestyle. For me, entrepreneurship is freedom, it's time freedom, it's financial freedom, and it's location freedom. So for us, it was all about traveling. So how are you creating this lifestyle that serves and elevates your highest, best, most authentic self? So I love that as a motto that we're advocating on your
Well,
show. Thank you so much.
that is amazing. I love all of that. We're going to have to do some travel stories later. But let's get to your first tip because you have so many good things that I want to share with our audience today, which is while pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. How is suffering optional when we have pain?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's important to recognize that pain is actually a gift. That people who don't experience pain don't live very long. That pain is a physical and in some cases emotional warning signal that something is out of alignment, something is wrong. Now, what's really interesting physiologically is pain actually happens in your brain. If you sprain your ankle, your brain says, ouch, not your ankle. And what we find is that if you suddenly were pursued by a lion, your ankle would stop hurting and you would run like the Dickens. So your brain is using pain as a way to evaluate the external circumstances and make decisions. Now, what ends up happening is in our modern society, very rarely are we running away from lions or tigers or bears. We are
Oh
we are
my.
running. Oh my. We are running away from a fear of rejection. We're running away from a fear of self, and our fears have become internalized instead of externalized. And so most of us are living with more stress and anxiety than our ancestors ever experienced, because we are in a constant DEFCON 5. Like, we are always aware of what could be happening at any given time, but none of it is actually physically a danger. So our brains never go offline. We don't go into fight or flight and then come out of it. We are just constantly in this fight or flight response 24/7 in our environment because we are surrounded by media, things like that, that are feeding our brains with negativity and pain triggers, right? And
Mhm.
so the way I think about it is pain is in the fact category. Something happened and it hurt, right? And emotionally, this might be like a heartbreak. If our boyfriend or our spouse breaks up with us, or we're going through divorce, like there is the fact that happens. And then suffering is the story. And that's kind of the second point. Story is the emotional response to the stories we tell about that.
Mhm.
So you can always notice when you're, and this is kind of segueing into our second point, but like the suffering is the second half. Something happens and then we make an interpretation. And in that space, we shift from objective physical outer reality to an inner subjective experienced reality. And in that moment that it shifts between what happened and what it meant, this is where we can take our power back.
And I've had coaches, thank you for that. That was a really great explanation because I've had coaches tell me, what does it mean versus what you made it mean?
Yes.
Right. Like,
Mhm.
and this happens a lot when it comes to emotional pain where, someone snaps at us or someone has a bad day and they take it out on us and we internalize. And it's like, what did it mean versus how did we perceive it?
Mhm.
And I love this book that you mentioned. I actually have, this is a well-worn copy. You can see it's Michael Singer, The Surrender Experiment. What do you like about this book?
Yeah, you had asked me what are my favorite books, and that one was absolutely a game changer for me. And for me, especially as a woman, it was an amazing example of how somebody, in this case, a man actually, was living a life of surrender. He was not in his yang energy. He wasn't pushing to make things happen for himself. He was simply surrendered and saying, you know what, I'm just going to sit and meditate and then I will follow the cues of the universe because he's, I think, Buddhist. And we'll just see what unfolds. And what happens to unfold is he ends up being the CEO of a $300 million international organization.
It
And it
just
was
happens to
just
unfold from
happened.
meditating, right?
And so it was a fascinating realization that in our culture, we're taught we have to make things happen. If it's to be, it's up to me, that whole kind of mantra. And no pain, no gain is another one that we hear. And it's a very alpha mass, like machismo culture that we've inherited that is no longer, I think, resonant with women today.
Mhm.
And so he gives a beautiful picture of how you can be in surrender, in flow, in this yin energy, and just allow things to unfold perfectly and beautifully from a space of non-religious faith. That it was such a beautiful example of what's possible if you just allow yourself to be taken care of, to trust that the universe is working for you, not against you.
It is a great book. And I also loved this book, Untethered Soul, which I want to say is his first one, but I
I think
read
so.
this and I was mind blown. It was the first time I had delved into any kind of book like this. And
Mm,
I was just taken away because I was coming from corporate where I had
mhm.
been killing myself working, ridiculous hours a week. And oh my gosh, we could keep going, but we are over halfway through our time and we've only done one tip. So let's get let's get to your next one, which is, let's see, facts don't create emotional responses. Stories do. Our emotions are our guidance system, showing us when our stories are untrue and bringing us out of alignment. And as you mentioned, this is kind of dovetailing from your last tip. Is there anything additional you wanted to mention about this particular one?
No, this is step 3. So the fact happens. Step 2 is we make a story about it. And step 3 is we feel an emotional response to the story that we just told. So
Mm.
one that I like to, I like to share, my poor daughter. One day she and I were sitting and having a conversation, and then I suddenly just reached out and smacked her on the face. And she was like, "What?" And this was a fact, right? This is something that actually happened. And then she could go into storytelling. And the story could be, my mother hates me, my mother is insane. What? There's all of these stories that could come up, or it could, and those emotional responses would be anger, hatred, self-loathing, like all of the emotional response that would come from my mother hates me and is trying to beat me up. Or the real story was there's a spider actively crawling up my face and my mother and my poor arachnophobic mother didn't know what else to do. So she was just trying to protect me. And the emotional response there is, oh, the pain hurt, but there's no suffering. My mother loves me and is trying to protect me. And therefore, I'm okay emotionally because the story is my mother loves me and is trying to protect me. So you can notice the stories based on the emotional response, because most of us feel the emotional response before we even notice that we've had any dialogue internally. Like somebody cuts us off on the freeway and we immediately feel angry, right? And we don't take that moment to say, why am I feeling angry? Is it because I feel like he's being rude or disrespectful, or he was endangering me and my children? How dare he? Right? So those stories create that sense of anger, injustice. But once we notice the anger, we can go back to the story and we can always choose the most generous interpretation. And we could say, okay, I don't know what his story is. Maybe it's another single mom and she's just trying to get her kid to nursery school before she has to get to her job and she already had the night shift. And you know what? I'm just going to give her a little bit of space. I'm going to give her a little bit of grace, and I'm just going to create margins, social and emotional margin, for that person to do whatever they're doing and be whoever they're being right now. And that puts me into a space of realignment emotionally, right? And so it doesn't actually matter what the objective story is. It only matters on which story we are telling so that we can manage and regulate our own emotional response. And actually, what I've found with my clients is we can actually rewrite trauma. So people whose parents did hit them as children, and not because there was a spider on their face, right? If we can go, or the most potent example was my father left me when I was 3, right? And the story was he didn't love me. He didn't want anything to do with me. I was not worthy. And that whole story of abandonment and unworthiness, we shifted with the most generous response, which was, what if your father realized he was going to be the worst possible father, and the best thing he could do for you because he loved you so much was to exit your world because he didn't know how to show up and be the father that he wanted to be for you, right? What if that was the story where he was actually exiting your life because he thought it would serve you the best, right? A lot of people who commit suicide, honestly, that's their story, that the world is better off without me in it, right? And so if you can have that, and she was like, oh my gosh, it was just a complete reframe. And she was able to forgive her father, which is not a forgiveness of the other person. It is not a condoning of their action. It is always, forgiveness is always an inner game, right?
That is amazing. I just want to make sure we get to your other tips in the minute that we have left. So your next tip is anytime you feel uncomfortable emotions, use the SALT technique. Stop, align, listen, and take action. Do you have a really quick synopsis of how someone can use this?
Yes. So stop, just breathe. When somebody cuts you off, notice and pause. The second step is align. Remind yourself of your truths, that everything is always working out for you. Everyone is always doing the best they can with where they're at. And if you can trust and love, you can get yourself back to a place of alignment. Then L is listen. Check in with your intuition and say, what is the best next step that I could take that feels light, that feels easy, that feels fun? Sorry, feel. Fun, easy, light. So how does it feel? FEL. And then take action. Do one small thing that makes you feel delicious, that makes you feel peaceful, that makes you feel kind. And just start shifting the narrative. So if you just remember, sprinkle everything with salt, you can get yourself back into alignment quickly.
That is so great. And for anyone who wants monthly trainings, want to know more about how functional medicine can help you get to the root cause of your issues, I invite you to join my free Facebook group. We have Q&As, we have hot seat lab reviews, and then a wonderful community of women on the same journey. So please do join us. Your last tip is you can't connect to your intuition without being connected to your body. Somatic practices like breathwork can tap into your ancient wisdom. Can you tell us about that in 30 seconds or less?
I know. And I love that you're bringing up functional medicine, because I think a lot of people discount how our food influences our chemistry. Our biochemistry is so important. And most of the dysregulation that I talk about in brain science are actually nutritional based. So just want to encourage you guys that if your mind is feeling off, start with your body first. So do work with a functional medicine practitioner, do get out and be active. Like if you take care of your body, your soul will sort of begin to self-regulate it.
Oh yeah, great point. Because our gut and our mind are intricately linked.
Yep, it is the second brain for sure.
And I think that comes with somatic practices, because when you're breathing,
Yes.
you are down regulating your stress response, and you're helping your body to relax. Oh my gosh, I know we could talk forever. It has been amazing having you on today.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad that I got to share these tips. And yeah, with the Magic Minute app, thank you for reminding me of the breath work. We just teach people to do 60 seconds of breathing with gratitude. So just focus on your inhalation, exhalation, and say thank you with each breath. And it's amazing how you can calm your nervous system and get yourself out of the fight or flight response that we mentioned at the beginning in a minute.
Awesome. Now tell people about your free gift.
Yes, so we have just a download of the SALT protocol. It's just a checklist that you can tape behind your computer and remind yourself, okay, I just need to stop, I need to align, I need to listen, and then take action. And so you can just download that. We also have weekly blessings that we send out, just giving you prayers or poems to bring yourself back into alignment throughout the week. And then the magicminute.app is where we will go live with the app as soon as it's ready to go.
Thank you so much for sharing your wealth of knowledge and information with us, Caitlin. It's been wonderful having you.
Thank you so much, Claudine. Talk to you soon.
Yeah, well, hang out in the green room, grab a mocktail. I'll be right back. Oh my goodness, was that not amazing? And just remember, what can you do to create a healthy, delicious lifestyle for you today? Until then, join me for another episode of Healthy, Delicious Lifestyle with Claudine next Monday at 9 a.m. Pacific or 11 a.m. Central, and have a healthy, delicious lifestyle. You can learn more about my services and products at ingoodcleantaste.com. Be sure to join me every week on the SWE Media Network YouTube channel and wherever you listen to podcasts.